Hi guys, welcome back. This is a continuation of the last video. I'm gonna be finishing the May gun, yay! All I had left to do on the gun was add a few more details. I still gotta add more clay, especially to this side. This side I'm kind of okay with, not really. I have to do a little bit here. Slowly building the shape we want. The white part just needed a little more dimension, so I added foam pieces there. And on top of that, I added cosplay clay to kind of smooth it out. After the general shape of the gun was done, I sealed all the foam with wood glue. The reason I decided to use wood glue is it makes it a little more sturdy, and the prop itself doesn't need to flex or anything, so I won't have problems with cracking. I sealed it with several layers of wood glue and primed with gray primer. The gray primer allows me to see anything that isn't quite right. It's all just this flat gray color. I could just see it, any indents or crevices that needed filling. So I sanded it, filled it with Bondo, sanded it. It was a tedious process because after sanding, I kept priming just to make sure that everything was cohesive. So I did my last coat of primer and decided the first thing I was gonna paint was the blue barrel of the gun. I started by masking everything off and spray painting it with the baby blue spray paint that I had. Once I let that set, I airbrushed this beautiful metallic blue color that I was really excited to put on the gun. I have to be patient with paint because I've had instances where I touch the paint and something goes wrong. So in the meantime, I knew I had to be patient with the paint and decided to take up another project. I bought 3D printed parts from Etsy a while ago of a Sombra gun. I really want to be Sombra too, so I started that up. I sanded it, glued it together, and I still have some sanding to do, but I at least got started. Once the blue paint was dry, I was able to unmask it and then mask the areas that weren't supposed to be painted black. I spray painted black. The paint was a little too glossy for my taste. So what I did, which was a mistake, I did it too hastily. I put dulling spray and the paint started cracking. Just looked so wrong. I sanded it because I was not happy with how it looked. I spent a lot of time on this gun and I knew that I wanted to make it right, so I sanded it and painted it again. Once that was set, I made sure to let it dry, and after that I was very excited to paint the detail. I wanted to do it by hand with acrylics. The problem is I don't have any brushes, so I used a couple of makeup brushes that I had and did most of the small detailing in those two brushes. I really like the accents on this gun. There is a couple of gold pieces, including the trigger and this latch that goes on the bottom of the gun. Once that was set, I masked off all the areas that needed to be painted white and spray painted it. That was the last of the base coat. It's basically 3 colors. Once all those details were set, I decided to mask off most of the gun, except for these 2 little latches that go on the barrel. Those were to be painted red, and I chose a spray paint that I had, and without testing it, I just sprayed it onto the gun, and it was very runny. I was so afraid it was gonna bleed into the gun itself, and I was very scared. I had to walk away from the gun at some point because I was stressed about this red paint. No! Luckily, the next day I unmasked it and everything was fine. There are a few texts on the gun itself, and they're very small details, but they're details I wanted to put in nonetheless. Adam, some time ago, I asked him if he could Photoshop all of these symbols that go onto her gun, and we had them printed, and it was finally time for me to put them on the gun. I had owned this sheet of vinyl with stickers for years, and I finally get to put it on the gun that I built, and it was just a very exciting moment. Before I was to weather the gun, I wanted to seal it to just make sure nothing chips while I was gonna handle it again. I decided the best way to do that is to hang it by the ceiling. I took wire, put it around the rafters, and hung the gun. After that, I just clear coated it. It's almost done. But my favorite part is next, which is all the small little paint details. Like there's like in the picture, the reference picture, there's a little weathering, and I live for weathering. I don't know what it is. It's so exciting to just... It kind of brings the prop to life. There's something about it that like really sets it into the real world, and I really enjoy that. It's really fun. The next step was to uncover the clear ball that goes on top of the gun, and uncovering that, I was able to see the gun complete. That was May's gun. I did it, and the next thing I really wanted to do was to see it with the lights on. You want to test out the lights?
Yes! All right. Oh God.
You sure it's the right one? That's positive.
Do you think it's possible this battery could be dead?
No. We kept pressing the button and it didn't light up. It was very worrisome. I was kind of nervous. I was like, there's no way I can take this whole gun apart now that I painted it, and if the lights don't work, I don't know what to do. It's just gonna have to not have lights.
The lights are one of the aspects that really make it stand out.
It really had to happen. That's why it was so heart-wrenching when it wouldn't turn on.
We weren't sure what was causing the problem. Like there was obviously a short somewhere in the circuit, but we couldn't even test it, let alone try to fix it without tearing apart the gun. I cut open the shrink tube. I kind of cut everything off that I had access to at the bottom of the handle, and just a little piece of wire fell out. Somehow it came loose, it got disconnected during the painting process. After we found that little piece of wire and just tested the battery directly on the circuit, everything worked.
Yes.
You got it?
Yes.
What happened?
So we knew it was gonna be a pretty simple fix. I felt relieved. I felt relieved that we were gonna get it to work without like just taking all the whole gun apart.
Before handing off the gun to Adam, I just wanted to make sure to clear coat the weathering and just make sure the gun was sealed so that Adam could handle it without chipping anything. And then we go pew pew, and then pew pew, and then...
We decided to use the quick connects originally so that we would be able to avoid actually soldering in the gun after it was done. But since we had to do that anyway, I decided to just leave those out and solder everything together.
So once he got the lights to work, I was like, okay, I need to see everything. So we plugged in the smoke machine, and it was a beautiful moment. I got to see all our hard work there just working, and I was really happy. Finishing the gun was interesting. I knew all the steps that I had to take. Even though there were some obstacles, I was always thinking about the next moment and what I had to do next. I was like, oh, I can't wait to paint. But as I'm painting, I'm just thinking of the next steps. Nowhere in between was I like, oh, it's almost done. So when it was finally done and I got to see the smoke and the lights, that's when I finally realized, oh, I finished this gun. And when it was finally done, I'm like, wow, I did it. So the last thing to figure out on the gun is how to house the smoke machine and how to fit it all into the hose that we're thinking of using and how to connect it to the tank. But in the meantime, I did a few touch-ups on the tank and I'm really excited to work on the next thing, which is the Junkrat tire and the grenade launcher. There's just so many beautiful details on that. I can't wait. Check out our next videos to see all our progress. Thank you for watching our videos. See you in the next one. Bye.